So you stole something from a magic shop and you think you made it out clean. When you get back to town though, you see the angry tiefling shop owner staring you down from across the crowd. He starts to push his way toward you. What do? Well, if you're a DM, it's time to start the event encounter. I'm Peter, and this is D&D with me. Hello again, Dungeoneers, and welcome to D&D with me. I'm Peter, and I've been a DM for over 4 years, and now this obsession of mine is starting to slowly drive me insane. So what is an encounter? An encounter should be something fun that challenges the players and makes them think to progress forward. An encounter can be a number of things, which we're going to cover in this video. Encounters don't just need to be combat. There are a myriad, yeah, I know what that word means, of other encounters that you can add to your games to make things more interesting. We'll explore 3 different encounters that aren't combat that you can throw into your next game. Let's go. Social encounters. Now I know what that means to some people. Role-playing. Now, it depends on the table, obviously. You gotta know what your table likes. My table likes the roleplay, so adding in these social encounters are actually something really fun for them. Encounters can be something as simple as interrogating the tavern owner for a little more information in the town, or something as in-depth as running an auction where your players need to pretend that they're aristocrats to bid on the elusive item that will get them further in the story. I like something that will challenge the players and make them think outside of the norm. With combat, you kind of get into the mode of, with initiative rolls obviously, that you know that you're coming up next, you'll move, you'll attack, you'll do a spell, maybe a bonus action. Did I just sound like Sean Connery there? Maybe a bonus action, and then on to the next person. Social encounters break down that sort of initiative order, and it gets people creative and thinking on their toes because you don't know what's going to happen at any point in turn. Event encounters. Now this is something I actually really like using. I like to use these in tense situations or time-sensitive matters. For instance, the story at the beginning of the video actually happened in one of my games. The kobold bard stole something from a magic shop, and a few sessions later I had put it down in my notes that at the event that they were attending, the angry shop owner would see them. Now this started a chain of events which eventually became the event encounter. When you lay out an event encounter, you need to have the following. You need to have a number that the players need to hit for a success or a number they need to hit for a failure. You need to set DCs, or at least have an idea of a DC that they need to hit every round. And for anyone that doesn't know already, DCs means dice challenge. I like to have DCs increase in difficulty as the event goes on. This could be something as easy as a chase, or an escape scenario, or a prison break. Everything I'm doing is just literally running. You can use this for a lot of things, or I mainly use it for intense escapes and running, apparently. You'll have the party roll initiative like usual. You'll have the enemy roll initiative like usual. But when their turns come up, they don't have to think of any sort of movement, speed, or a spell or an attack. They can do something as simple as throwing over a market stall, or try to use thaumaturgy to have a gust of wind show up and knock something over. Once again, it's just throwing stuff over. And as you go on in the encounter, the DC gets higher, and they have to be a little more creative to pass those DC challenges. Dice challenge. I just said dice challenge challenges. So an example of what happens when they fail. With the story that we had at the beginning, the kobold bard and the party could not successfully get away from the tiefling. So what did the tiefling shop owner do? Well, he cast blind on the kobold bard, and he was blinded for the rest of the session. Sorry. In closing, this is just a way to have players stretch their creativity outside of combat and think of spells that they normally wouldn't use unless in a narrative point. Puzzles and riddles. I'm going to say it simply, games need more puzzles and riddles. Even my own. I'm stupid though. I don't know any puzzles or riddles outside of blanking. The one where you're the baby in the morning, the grown man in the afternoon and the old man at the end of the night. Anyways, that's my extent of riddle knowledge. So thankfully, we have Google. Google can help us out in looking up puzzles or riddles that we can theme towards our sessions. For instance, my players found themselves within an alchemist's laboratory. They were sent there on behalf of a gang. Anyways, so they're in this alchemist lab. I had put a book of Basic Alchemy 101 on the shelf. One of the players actually took this. What did they do with that? Well, I'll tell you what they did with that. They used their goddamn brains. I had a puzzle set further in the lab to get through the secret door. They needed to find the alchemical recipe for making copper. Now, I can't even tell you what that is now, but I had it then because I Googled it. They were able to take items that they found on the component shelf, mix them within the bowl, and the door opened. Now, I didn't think about it, but the players actually really enjoyed doing that little puzzle because it was something outside of the normal. At that time, all I was doing was combat. And that's what it got me thinking. I want to put that in the outtakes. And that's pretty much it for extra encounters that I like to include in my games. There isn't a lot extra outside of combat that you can add in, but if there is any, please let me know in the comments below. I just like to pepper at least 3 types of encounters within one session. If they hit it or not, that's great, but at least there is a little bit of variety. And you know what they say about variety? It's the spice of life. Did I say that? Anyways, that's enough from me. Like, favorite, share, follow me on Instagram at dndwme. And if you haven't, check out my previous video. That's all for me. See ya.